Okay, this is what I want you to do. For the homework, I want you to draw. You can take any image you want. And you can see on the PDF, you're going to see that I've taken 9 images. And we've talked about this as well. I want you to take the same image and I want you to paint it 9 times. Okay? Now, this is your major key. Okay, across the top is your major key. And down here is your minor key. Okay? So, in this column, I want you to do overall light. That's a light major key. A light major key. And then a medium. Major key. And then a dark. Or a low major key. Okay? So this will be overall light, overall medium, overall dark. Then what I want you to do, in the rows, you can either go top to bottom or whatever. I want this to be medium minor. You can have high minor. Right? And low minor. And remember, your minor key is your range of contrast. Okay? And this is proportion. Okay? So it's mostly light, mostly medium, and then mostly dark. And really get a distinctive difference. Right? So they have overall light, overall medium, overall dark. Same image. I want you to just kind of lay it out that way. Now, maybe the image you select, it might be in any one of these areas to begin with. And then I want you to look at the range of contrast. Okay? So the low minor key might be not much contrast in here. You know, maybe we're looking at something like that. Maybe this has got a little more contrast. Okay? And then maybe up here we've got the most contrast. And this is just, I'm just doing this in an abstract way, but take your image and I want you to work with whatever image you have and just increase the range of contrast throughout. Now that might mean that you want to do that on all of them. So if it's overall light, maybe you have a jar with a dark top on it or something. So maybe you're going to have something like that. What you may find that you may find that maybe you've got about 7 or 8 or 9 different zones, right? Maybe there's a label on this thing.Maybe it's on a tablecloth or something like that. Let's just say you have something like this. Okay? You might find that in your overall high contrast, you don't want to include a lot of middle values. Okay? Go ahead and just darken one of the areas quite a bit. You see? So if this is like overlit, let's just say, it's overall light. Maybe there's something in the jar like this. Maybe there's something on the label, right? So it's overall light. When you get into something, let me do this here really quick. when you get into something like this, maybe you're going to realize that, okay, I've got my, this is going to be low contrast, medium contrast. Okay, and then maybe when you get into this one, you're going to be just not much at all. I'm slopping through this. I want you to do it much more careful than I'm doing it, but I want you to make it clear. I want you to have clear distinction between the range of contrast in there, right? Now, what you may end up doing is when you get into a middle value overall, maybe what you end up doing is maybe you're including more middle values. Maybe this is now a middle value. Maybe this back here is a little bit more middle value, and maybe this is middle value. I have the top of this, and maybe whatever liquid is in here is more middle value here too. Does that make sense? So your overall proportion is more middle value, okay? And with a medium contrast. Because in this one, when you get into here, you want medium, overall medium and high contrast. So you're going to probably leave some whites. I'll leave it on the label there. I'll make this medium. There's my dark, right? And I need to make sure that the rest of this is pretty medium, right? Maybe I'll make this just a little bit more contrast on this. Okay. And then when I'm down in here, I'm going to have least contrast, but it's going to be mostly medium. Where I put the contrast, I can arrange that as a focal point. Medium. So I don't have anything as contrasting as the other. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, all in one panel. Yeah, all in one page. You can use any medium you want. You can paint them with gouache, watercolor, oils, whatever. You can do it with a charcoal pencil too. What I'm going to suggest, if you do it, don't do it like me. Okay? Don't just scribble it out. I want you to just have clear areas, all right? Like we were talking before. Make sure that your areas are pretty clear, okay? Make distinct zones or shapes. You can work from a photograph. You can work from another painting. I don't care. The only thing I would suggest is try not to grab a photograph or a painting that has many different value zones. Keep it somewhere, between, I'll say 7 and 15 distinct zones. Does that make sense? That's one little thing that I usually talk about landscape painting, is if you're going to go out and paint, select an area that you could see or that you want to paint and divide it up. And if it can break into between 7 and 13 or 7 and 15 zones, you're in good shape. Okay? If it breaks up too much, recompose your picture. Okay? Because it's going to fragment on you. It'll break all apart. So what you want to do is you want to look at it at whatever you're doing, large or small, a big scope, small, and be able to divide it into a finite number of value groups, right? Because that's really where you're going to go. For homework, what I'd like you to do is do these 9 panels. And remember, we're focusing on major and minor key. It'll be really easier for you if you just find some images that are not too complicated that would break into, say, 7 to 13 zones, and then just work those values according to your major and minor key. All right. Well, good luck with that. Have fun.